You're live.
I'm just hitting refresh to see if I still, oh, there it is. It's there. We're live.
Awesome.
Yay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kofi.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yay. And we have So Isaac here. Oh, I think I emailed you. Oh, hi. Thank you for joining our live stream. Or that name sounds familiar. If it wasn't an email, it would have been something else. Oh, yay. All right. So we're a little bit early because we were running through our the technical side of stuff just to make sure we got everything connected, but everything looks good this time around. So we'll
Yay.
give people, let's see, it says 25 people watching now.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, 27. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Sweet. Hi, Lisa. Oh, nice. All right. Everything went smoothly this time.
Yay.
Yeah. All right, cool. We have 31 people. It is 2 p.m. and this is a recording, so I think it's fine if we just go ahead and jump in. So I'm just gonna say my few comments, then turn it over to Karen. But today we are gonna be doing a really cool live stream where Karen's gonna be using different washi paper with her Gelli plate to create some really cool Gelli prints. And we love our friends over at Gelli Arts, and Karen's been a huge fan. If you've been watching our live streams for a while, you've probably, like, you've certainly seen Karen use her Gelli plate before. I think even in our most recent live stream, Karen was using her Gelli plate. So we're big fans of Gelli Arts. And our washi paper is amazing when used to create Gelli prints. And our Mashi Hosho is our newest addition to our washi paper collection. There it is. It's really thick. It's a really durable washi paper that's actually made by fusing two kinds of washi paper, Mashi and Hosho, to create this really thick sheet. You can kind of tell even from Karen waving it around how sturdy and thick it is. So she'll be using that as well as a whole bunch of our other washi papers to create some really beautiful gel prints. You got a little preview in front of you. Um, if you have any questions, go ahead and type it into the chat box. Oh, we have so many people here. Oh, and somebody's remembering you. She's been a fan since watching you on the Carol Duvall show.
Great. Awesome. Still
Awesome.
around. We're still kicking.
Yeah, still making art. And so, yeah, that's it. Just if you have any questions, write them in the comments and I'll be there to type my responses or we'll verbally ask your questions to Karen. And I'm going to be updating a list of the items that Karen's using as she shows them. But instead of doing it in the chat box, I'll be doing it in the description. So if you refresh or at the end of the video, if you don't want to keep refreshing during the live, there will be a list of all the products that Karen used in this video's description. All right, thanks, Karen.
Awesome. Thank you. So hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Um, There's a lot to cover today. I've really been inspired this week because I've been kind of focusing on Gelli printing, using all of the Yasutomo papers because I love the Mashi Hosho. It's got a cardstock kind of feel to it, and I think you saw me doing some stuff last week, right? Was it last week? Anyway, whenever we were doing it. But I have basically all these papers that we have, the art papers, plus I'm just going to kind of just really go through them really quickly. Mashi Hosho, which is our newest, 8.5 by 11, so it goes through a printer perfectly. Torinoko, it's a little different in size, 9.5 by 10 3/4. We have Asagami. I'm going to show all these in action on the Gelli plate. The Gassen, which is a fantastic paper, and we have other videos on this, and we have other lives that we've done talking about these papers, but I, didn't want to just forget talking about them for a second. Then we have these are the papers that I always go to because of their price point. They're very inexpensive. You get 48 sheets on this sketch paper, and there's someone who I've been really inspired by lately, and I think I've mentioned her before, Elizabeth St. Hilaire, paperpaintings.com. This is her favorite paper, and I'm so glad she loves this paper because I do too. And I've been kind of binge watching her YouTubes and her tutorial tidbits, as she calls them. And I've gotten some ideas actually to show you to talk about, but I'm really excited to share about all of this papers that we have and all of the how basically washi paper is a fantastic substrate for jelly printing. And Gelli Arts, okay, so I'm going to just show you all this is the stuff I made this week. And I'm just going to kind of pull them together. But this is what really got me. These colors, which I never use, but it was Elizabeth St. Hilaire that inspired me to use this particular color combination, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. It's a gold and teal and pyrrole red light. It is gorgeous. I'll show you a little bit later. And then I played with some other color combinations and on this technique she calls over and under technique. And here's another one right here. And this is using a combination of the 6H. This technique would work on the Mashi Hosho. Any of our papers that are a little thicker, it would work just fine. Anyway, I just had fun. So I'm just going to kind of pull these together and I'm going to just start printing because I think you need to see all these things in action. I'm going to show you today some layering techniques a little bit and talking about how I like printing. This is me, the way I print. I'm kind of impatient. I'm just going to show you these while I'm talking. I'm a little impatient, so I like to print with 2 plates. And Gelli Arts, I'm so glad, thank you so much, sent me 2 9x12 plates. And this is why I'm bringing this up. The 9x12 plates are perfect for our papers. So let me just pull these together so I don't miss anything here. I've got some light sheets that I pre-printed earlier. See how busy I've been? Got lots of prints. Some of these are with the thinner 6JM, some of these are with 6H, some are with Mashi Hosho and Torinoko, all the papers. So many papers. Now I've got lots of papers to not only do collage with, I've been making these little folded necklaces, which I think are really fun, out of hearts. And this actually fold is in my book, Origami Cardcraft. I'm just going to shout it out real quick. This is my book that I did long time ago. And it's on page, where are you? Page 94. And there it is. So it's just a fun, and it's also on Layla Torres Origami Spirit, her website. It's called, I think she just calls it an easy heart. So that she does a video of it also. So, if you wanted to play with some origami with this paper, it's really fantastic because it's one of a kind origami. You will never see it anywhere else. Now, what I've done, you'll see the printed side, and I've got a bunch of solid sheets. Now, I did some solid sheets. Here's some Mashi Hosho, nice and thick cardstock, using some gold, like it was gold, I think yellow ochre actually. And then I did some metallic sheets here on the 6H. Now let me get out the star of the show, besides our paper. And I'm going to show you I have to get some organization here, otherwise it will get crazy. I'm going to grab my 2 plates. I'm so excited to have them. They're because of the 9x12. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to put 2 right next to each other. The reason I do this, because I like to print, as you can see, I was prolific this week because I was able to print with 2 plates. That's what made it really cool. So I'm going to this is the way they came in these little amazing storage. Oops, excuse me. Storage, they come with this nice storage box like this. And what I do is I cut some scrap of paper, and those are what I use to keep the plates nice and clean and smooth. And I'm just going to take my little sheet that I had put on. And that actually, you can see it kind of helps to dull the surface a little bit because the oil, I don't know why, but anyway, makes it more of a not so shiny. Because when you get a brand new gel plate, it's really shiny. And I'm just going to lay it on my glass. Now I like using a glass. This is a glass cutting board, but it's a smooth one. It doesn't have any, shape or whatever it's called. It doesn't have bumps. And then this is the other one I have, the other 9x12. I'm making a lot of noise. Sorry about that, just by opening these. Um, For some reason, I'm just sensitive to noises lately. I'm going to put this, just put this away, and I save it like this, and then when I clean my plate, I store them back in these little, in these cases. Now, I like having two plates, and I'm gonna just, there we go, right next to each other. I just like to print one, and the reason, I'll explain why in a moment, because when you're printing, you've got to let some time for your paint. You got to give your paint some time to kind of dry sometimes. And I like while I'm waiting, especially when you're printing, when I'm waiting, I can just move on to the other. So that's why I do it. So what you'll need, and I've got Brayers. I've got this fancy Brayer from Holbein. You can use a Speedball Brayer. Brayer is your friend. Another thing I like to have on hand, of course, is a palette. If I need to, I'll use this. This is a Strathmore palette paper. I might use that if I'm going to be rolling out some stuff. Or I could do, if I want to make a small palette, I've got this little, I haven't used this yet. I'm going to use it today. I've got this cute, adorable, no, I have used it. It's the 3x5, and it makes a nice little palette for, instead of using the wax paper, which you have to throw away, I can just use this, and I've had that for a long, been sitting in my space here, and I thought, why not use it? I've got some ideas to use to do some fun things, but that could be my palette. So I'll just go ahead and move that over to the side. I might use it today. And you will need another thing you'll need. Okay, so you've got your papers. You want to have your plates. You want to have something that this is our Baren, and this is something I can burnish down the paper with when I'm printing. That really is handy. I also have acrylic paints. I'm just going to use kind of a variety of acrylic paints. You could use watercolors if you want. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to use some watercolors today as well. But acrylics are definitely what you need. And if you're gonna, you have to have a collection of little mark making things. Like I've got bubble wrap. I have these little, tools like combs, very soft combs. Gelli Arts makes these. I love these little things. This is a catalyst. You can use toilet paper rolls to make marks. You could use leaves. There's all kinds of goodies. You just find goodies to make marks with, and I hope to do some fun things with that today. Um, there's so many things to show you. Another way you can do marks is I've got a glue gun, and I know how to use it, as they say. I haven't used it in a while, but these are glue gun masks that I made. So I'm going to use those today because they're fun. But those, you can use things like that if you don't have stencils. I also have a collection of stencils in my stash, and I'm going to use a lot of those. The Elizabeth St. Hilaire has amazing 9x12 stencils. So 9x12 fits right on the 9x12 plate. And what's great is then you have your 9x12 paper, which the 6H is exactly 9x12. So all these kind of work together as a nice little package. But it also works on the smaller sheets, because what you're getting print all the way to the edge of the paper. And that means you get larger sheets of paper to do collage and whatever you need to do. So I'm going to get started on just kind of I'm going to do two things to just kind of jump into it. I'm going to make this is some acrylic. It's a heavy bodied acrylic, and I put about that much on my plate. And I'm going to roll on. Gosh, I hope I have enough room here. I have a small table here. I've got a little bubble I need to burp my plate. You see that bubble in there? It's going to just need to kind of burp it. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of, I'm going to grab some, while I'm rolling this on, where's my, got a stack of papers here I plan to use today. And I could use the Mashi Hosho first because I'm going to make a solid sheet of the Mashi Hosho that's kind of this nice gold, gold color, and I'm kind of going light. I'm not overdoing it. And I'm just going to put it on, and I'm going to let it sit because it's kind of a dry. It's not really a very kind of dry. I mean, it's really dry today. I live in the desert. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of paper over it. I just use copy paper, or if you want, you can even use some of the washi paper to kind of put over it so you don't get your hands all messed up. And then I'm going to just kind of take my Baren and I'm just going to lay that down. I'm going to leave that on there for a second. Just going to leave it on. You can see it didn't pick up much of the paint. So I'm just going to let that sit until the paint gets lifted with the paper. I'm going to do another solid sheet on this side. And I'm going to grab a light color. So I'm going to go light from light. Oh, I think I'll do a silver if I can find a silver. Don't have it. Oh, yep, I do have a silver. Here's some iridescent silver. And I'm using a fluid acrylic. I really like fluid acrylics because they go on nice and thin. You can get thinner layers, and I don't care if my brayer has some gold on it. It'd be a nice warm silver if it mixes up. Now I did a little more paint on this. I actually have got much better coverage than I did on this one. We'll see how that works. And I'm going to take a piece of Torinoko, which is another sheet, another type of paper that we have. I'm just going to lay it on there and do the same thing, kind of make a protection layer so that I don't get my hands all wet or painterly, which they do anyway. But now that I've done this, I have time now. I can pick this one up and see how if it's lifted the paint. And it did pretty well. It lifted pretty well. And I do see some areas where it's on, not on there, but that looks nice to me. I think that's going to be a good base sheet. And I'm going to put that base sheet to the side. And I'm going to leave that gold on because it would look pretty. And then this one looks like, because I put enough paint on it, the Torinoko, it's going to have plenty of coverage. You can see it picked up pretty much every bit of that silver. And that's a nice little base sheet for me to get started on a technique. This is the Elizabeth, like I said, Elizabeth St. Hilaire. She really got me going this week and really inspired me. So
By the
I'm
way,
going to be,
Karen,
yes.
Evelyn was asking which side of the Mashi Hosho did you put down?
Oh, goodness gracious, very important thing. I put the smooth side down. In fact, every paper that I use, all of the Japanese papers usually have a rough and a smooth side. Print on the smooth side. That's definitely on all of those. So I did put I mentioned on Mashi Hosho is that Mashi Hosho has a rough side as well as smooth side. And I love the watercolor, how it looks on the rough side, and the printing is best on the smooth side. That means also for your laser printer and your inkjet printer and your inks, drawing, anything that you're going to need a smoother side. But this side, the rough side, is awesome for doing watercolor. But I think I'm going to test it just for fun today with everyone here. I'm going to do both sides of this paper. I just want to see what happens if I do it on the rough side. So I'm going to make sure I do that today. Okay, so I've got this here. I'm going to show you this technique that was mind-blowing. And I have to do it while it's in my memory, fresh in my memory, because otherwise I'll forget. But what she did is Elizabeth did a base sheet of a gold. So I've got this one ready. It's ready to go. And I'm going to I'm going to find it. Actually, I'm going to find a stencil that I want to use before I do this. I'm going to find a stencil. Yeah, there it is. This is a really awesome stencil. It's a mask, actually. And I'm going to put it not on the plate yet, but I'm going to put some paint down. I'm running out of teal. I have to order some more. And I don't want a whole lot, but I want enough to cover the plate. Yeah, sometimes we can overdo it on the paint. Maybe maybe I could have overdone it just now. But there we go. So this beautiful coverage, just get a nice even coat, and then lay your stencil down or your mask. I'm going to turn it this side so you can see. So lay the mask down onto the plate. And then when you do that, don't do your good sheet yet. Do another one, like a sheet that you want to change up or something. Like if you have a print that you don't really love, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm just going to grab a piece of paper, plain 6/8, which really works great as just gonna put that on there, and I want it on all the way. Look how it just lines up to that gel plate. Oh, I love it. And I want to get all the little bits and pieces out. I want to get all the color that's in there. I'm using my fingers because there's grooves in here and I want to get all that, you know, all that paint lifted off. I loved what this color combination. It would have been the last color combination I would have ever chosen, but oh my gosh, it's so beautiful and powerful and gorgeous. And she calls this the over under, I think the over under technique or something like that. All right, so let me just check, see if I got all the little bits, and I don't know if I did. Looks like I did pretty good. And you can always use this versus the first sheet. This isn't the print that I find, it's not my final print. I'm just doing this. I've got a nice print, but it's not the final one. So I'll set that aside, use that for another something else. Then this is where it gets not tricky, but I need to roll off some of this paper here. I need to get this extra paint off of my brayer and so that I can put the next color on like that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is that Pyro red. I'm going to put it on. This sounds crazy, but you leave your stencil on and then you're going to put it on like this. You're going to put some red on like so, and then roll it on top until you get in all the grooves. And it's so pretty. And then get it evenly, make sure it's even. And then you can make your print after you pull the stencil. So I'm gonna, it's like two steps here, but you don't want to put your paper down right now. You're gonna put it down right. I'm gonna put this down on the ground and I'm gonna put my 9x12 right. And I'm just gonna, this is 6H, just so you know. And I'm using the 6H on this technique because it is thin and you have to be able to feel those grooves through. I'm going to leave that there, just leaving it there, and then we're going to go to the next thing, and then I'll pull it out in a minute. So that was just wanted to show you that technique because it's pretty incredible. Now let's do some like that. So this is for that technique, and then I'm going to just do some basic printing, kind of basic stuff that we all want to do when we're gel printing. And this is what you want to start with, is to kind of go. You want to start with the light. Actually, a base sheet's always a good thing. So I'm going to start this one actually here. I'm going to start with the one. This is the Mashi Hosho that I had started with the gold, so it's already started. And now I've got to pick a color that's kind of a medium tone. I think I'm going to go. I am going to go like green, and I'm going to take. That's a very dark green. That's Jenkins green. I'm going to use this green gold. Okay, and then I'm going to use a turquoise. So I'm going to kind of leave them in the same family. I can find my turquoise. Or I could use a gray. I'll just use this gray. Payne's gray. It's pretty. Oh, there's Hooker's green too. Just trying to keep them in the same color family to make it look really nice if I can here. And I don't have a turquoise. I thought I did, but it's not in this collection. So I'll just do with what I have. So I'm going to take this green and I'm just going to put it on my plate. And I may mix it with a little bit of Hooker's green just to kind of green it up, darken it just a little. Not much, but just a little. And I'm definitely not going to use this red. If I do that, I think I might have to change brayers because, yeah, I need to change brayers. I'm going to use this brayer and I'm going to kind of mix it all up on, oh, that's a bright, pretty color. Beautiful. And then what I'm going to do is move this over here. I wish I had a bigger table. I'm going to put this one over there. Okay, so I'm going to take it could be a stencil. I'm going to grab this little stencil here. This is from Joggles. I love all of their stencils because they're 9x12 and they just fit perfectly on that. And I'm going to take my little paper this was the first, if you remember, this was my kind of my scrap sheet or it's not just enough to get this initial paint off. And then I'll pull the print on this gold Mashi Hosho. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure, oh, there it looks at that, so that's fun. And then that looks, I'll just keep layering with that sheet and see what happens. Now I'm gonna lift that up. And I'm going to put this first layer on, and this is smaller than 9 by 12. It is gonna fit, it's gonna bleed all the way out to the very edge, which I think is really nice. And I'm gonna put just some paper over it, just so that I don't mess up. I'm gonna put some little sheets right over it. And I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. You see what the advantage of having two plates is about? While one is marinating or cooking on the plate, then I can come back to this one. Now I want you to see this one. So smooth question, yeah, smooth paper, smooth edges, smooth sides, excuse me, all the way. So I'm gonna lift it. Oh boy. Oh yes, you're gonna see the magic of this one. Isn't this amazing? Oh, it's so gorgeous. Be still my heart. Look at that. It's so beautiful. And I got most of the paint because I was patient and I let it go. But look at that. The gold is there, but it's not overwhelming. It's just a subtle, background of gold and that teal color and that red. Just, it's so pretty. But so there it is. That wanted to show you that technique. And it's just to remember you want to do leave that stencil on when you put the red color over it, because the color underneath the stencil is still there and it's wet, and that's why it got such a nice finished print. So that, I love that. Okay, so now I'm gonna start a print, let this sit and marinate for a second. And now I'm gonna do some other types of things. I'm gonna just roll on basically a medium color paint. So I'm gonna do this with maybe a medium. Oh, I like this pink color. Shell pink. We'll go on we'll have we'll see what this is. Shell pink. And I'll try to keep this on the warm side. So I'll have my warm paint, my warm prints on this side and my cooler prints on the right side. Or maybe it won't, who knows? It changes. Now you could take things like your bubble wrap. You can just do a bubble wrap thing right here. Just take your bubble wrap, lay it on, and everybody's hopefully seen this before. But it's just a nice, easy way to create texture. When you want to make beautiful texture. And I'm going to take, actually, where's my gold? It's going to get crazy because I have stuff everywhere. Okay, so I have a piece of, this one is Torinoko. And it's a kind of a medium, that's a light pink. We'll see what happens when I layer this over. That's interesting. Now there's that. And now I'm going to just lay this on. And this one's a little wider than 9 by 12. So I'm just going to lay it on there. And I'm going to put this paper down so I can kind of let that do its thing. Like this, and just let it sit. Now I've got time over here. You see how I'm just sort of juggling things, but it's actually when I have a big surface, a big area, like on my kitchen table, or my kitchen counter, like I have been in the past few days, it's been fabulous just to do print on this. So I'm going to lift this up. And I'm going to see how this looks. This is the Mashi Hosho. And I'm just starting and doing layers, just layers. And this is the cardstock, so it feels thicker when you pull it. It's not going to pull the same as your other paper. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, this is only the second layer. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to use a darker color. So I'm going to use this, this green, Jenkins green. It's a nice dark color. I'm going to put that on. And I might mix it with a little, I don't know, just for fun. I'm going to throw a little teal in it. I'm going to kind of throw in, just see what happens. Just kind of play. I like to play when I'm doing these. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's a nice, ooh, it's mixing together. Now this is a bad, if you want, I mean, that's nice because it's sort of mixed up on the plate, but if you really want to have a smooth color block, you would want to mix it on something else and then put it on the plate. Mix it on like here on a piece of anything else. So I'm going to grab a really cool, this is Elizabeth's Georgia O'Keeffe stencil. I'm going to lay it on. And I'm going to use, again, I'm going to use this is, remember that first sheet? I'm just going to use that to pull the paint from the inside. Plus it makes a nice print as well. So glad everybody's here. I'm just seeing there's lots of you here. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. And jelly printing is just one of my favorite. I mean, I've got three favorite things to do. I love origami, I love watercolor, and I love jelly printing. And Gelli Arts is the first gel, they're the originators of this, and it's such a fantastic way to have so much fun and so freeing. If you're not really feeling like drawing, you just want to make some color and make some beautiful papers. Jelly printing is the way to go. So I'm gonna see if I've got all the colors out. And if I don't, what I'm gonna do, I'm just building on this one. What I could do is take another, just see if I can get more color out. Because sometimes if a paper is already saturated, it won't get more color out. Okay. Okay, best I can on that one. Now I'm gonna take this is the Mashi Hosho. I'm going to take this stencil off and look at that little bit of beautiful lines there. I'm just gonna lay it right on. And again, I've got to let it sit for a bit. Oops, I'll just use this, move this over and let that sit. Maybe use my Baren to smooth things out or to kind of push that paint into the paper fibers. I'm just gonna let that sit for a while. And then I'm gonna look at this one. I'm gonna peel this one up and see how it looks. And this is the Torinoko. And Torinoko is a very nice paper. Now it made a nice pink, got a nice little thing started, and I haven't, it's only the beginning. So now I'm gonna take some medium, like maybe this Perylene Maroon, and I'm gonna mix it. But this time, instead of doing it on the palette like that I had done, I'm gonna try mixing it right here on this. I'm just gonna sit it on top of this and put a little maroon like this. Maybe some of this pink, no, maybe some luminous opera. Ooh, that stuff's amazing. The opera is really pretty. If you don't, it just put a little bit with it, it's gonna pop the color out. It's gonna make it gorgeous. And I've got a little pearl white to mix in here, just for giggles here. I just want to see what I get. There we go. It's gonna be an interesting color combination. And I'm just gonna mix it right here on here before I put it on my plate, because I want it to kind of be, oh ooh, yeah, there we go. That's a nice color. I'm gonna even go a little, yeah, it's an interesting color. I like it. All right, gonna roll it on. It's still not exactly smooth, but it's all right. I roll it on, and I have to think of a stencil to put on here, but it's a nice medium color. It's not quite dark yet. That's really nice. Nice smooth kind of coating there. And now I'm going to take a stencil, and it's sort of in my stash here. I've got to find one quickly. Ooh, this one might be there. Here. You have to see all my stencils. They're all stuck together. All right, this one's a really nice one. This one's also, almost every stencil I'm using today is from the Elizabeth St. Hilaire collection, just so you know. Now this, I'm going to do a little different because this one I'm using my green. So I'm going to take a fresh sheet, and I'm going to quickly put a fresh sheet over this so that I pull off the paper. But you can see how this type of printing can really yield lots of prints. As you can see, Elizabeth stencils are amazing, aren't they? You know what I'm going to do with some of them, because I get so much paint on them. I'm going to cut them out and use them in collage, because I think they're just the stencil itself is going to be really amazing. Just the plastic. So there's just that nice little print. But what I'm really looking for is what's underneath. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to go just lay it on like that. And you can see this is kind of a complex layering technique. I guess you could call this just layering. Complex layering, because I'm doing more than one layer. And then there's other ways you can do fun things. But let's see I'm going to move this one over. And I'm going to pull this print. Remember, I had a print. This is the Mashi Hosho. And I'm just going to see if I got, yep, it's pulled it up. Let's see what we got. Oh, pretty. I've got one more layer I want to do on this, I think. It's looking good, but I think we need one more layer. So very nice, but not there yet. We're gonna make it happen. So I'm gonna do, let's see what we got. Where's my Payne's Gray? Okay, Payne's Gray. Gotta find a stencil that I want to use. I don't really know. Oh, I love this. I'm gonna grab this one. Sometimes you have to preview your stencils ahead of time. I think that would look really cool because there's this linear stuff going this way. This is more circular. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. It's stuck on my plate. There we go. Now I'm gonna put some Payne's Gray on, and you could use any brand, different brands. This is Holbein. I use Holbein. I use Amsterdam and Golden. Those are pretty much my go-to. And I'm noticing that the Payne's Gray, because it's fluid, likes to bead up on the plate. That's not a bad thing. It just gives more texture. There it is, pretty. And I'm gonna put that stencil right on top, right? Just to line it up on the edges with the 9x12 Gelli plate. And I'm gonna use my, remember that first sheet, the first one? This was my first. I'm gonna lay it onto that, and I'm gonna get as much as I can off out of those grooves. And just kind of get in there and massage those, get them inside that's what I like about this paper as when you're doing this layering technique, using the thinner sheets of washi, like the 6H and the 6JM, they're good for this technique. And then the Mashi Hosho is good for the second ghost, I guess the ghost print, if that's what it's called. Or if this is the ghost print, I don't know. But you know what I mean, right? I think you know what I mean. And what I could do is if I really want my edges to kind of, pick up paint, what I'm going to do is go really burnish the edges with Baren and really get those edges so that they'll hang on, so that it will grab onto the paper, basically. Well, Melinda's here. Hi, Janet's here. I'm so glad to see. Hey, I see who's here. Familiar folks. Okay, so I'm gonna let the, I guess I don't need to let it sit for too long, but I'm gonna let it sit for a second this time just to see what happens. Because I normally don't leave it on too long on that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. See what happens. So there we go. Let's see what we got here. This is the Torinoko. Let's pull this print. Now, I love this one. I think I'm gonna leave this one because I love this color. I love the way it came out. And you could see a hint. It's not too much, but just a hint of that luminous opera really made the colors more vibrant. But that's a very beautiful print. I'm gonna just be happy with that. And that's usually how it works. I'll keep layering until I'm happy with it. That's just that, wait until I'm really happy and then I go on from there. So this one, we'll put something on there while we're waiting for this one here. This one, since it's my warm palette, I've kind of got this thing messed up, but let's see if I can do something crazy. I just thought of something crazy. I'm gonna grab my little block. This is an acrylic block. Let's see if it even works. Nope. I thought it would work. No, it's not gonna work. That's okay. I'm just gonna leave it, let it sit for a minute. But I've got my little block here. This is a 3x5. You could make blocks of color. Not necessarily, I think maybe because I waited for it to dry too long, but you can make little prints like that using your paint, using extra paint. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And I'm gonna show you how I clean these. You can leave it on and let it dry. In the old days, I used to be freaky and I'd be, oh no, I gotta wash all of our plates. And I'd be so scared that I would worry that, I'll put this on here too. I was worried, oh no, I've got that on it. Oh, I like that. I was worried that I was kind of gonna ruin the plates, but there's ways to clean your plates, even if they've been sitting there drying. Okay, so this has got a set of a color on it. And then let's do some crazy stuff here. I'm gonna put a little luminous opera. Ooh, very bright. And maybe a little quinacridone magenta would be nice. Or maybe some of this. Interference oxide violet. It's a gorgeous color. It's kind of a very metallic. It has some interference in it as well. And I'm gonna throw a little bit of that shell pink in it. Since I do have a limited palette today. I didn't put all my colors out. Just wanted to see, just have a limited palette. And I'm not mixing it on I'm mixing it on the plate, so it's going to be really blotchy. But I kind of like that effect. I think it's kind of nice, actually. Ooh, that's pretty. I'm going to lay, what am I going to do? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my little, these goofy things. I love these. This is just glue gun stuff. And if any of the ladies from I know that some of you ladies are here. You have done this with me before. We made glue gun masks, and we had lots of fun doing it. And you just put it on there. Just put it on what, and you want to put the smooth side, obviously, on there. I've even got a bird here. And I think that's probably, maybe just like that. Just kind of cover it. And then I'm going to take a sheet that is a piece, like a scrap sheet. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to take one that I previously, this is a silver one. I'm gonna just lay it on there. Happens to be Torinoko. It was the closest one I could get. I just want to kind of pick up some of that paint. Now, this is different because these glue stencils are a little bit different. We'll see if I can even get anything. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I got something, but not much. So now I'm gonna lift these off and I'm gonna pull a print another way while I can. But if you let your paint dry on there and it doesn't want to lift, you just let it dry, and then what will happen is you'll have to put another wet layer and then lift things up that way. So I'm going to try using a piece of, let's try this one. This is the one I had done first in my scrap sheet. Just going to let it sit there for a while, and I'm not going to touch it for a while. Let's put that on and let it sit. Now let's take a look. All right, so this one has, oh yeah, okay. Remember, I kind of left the stencil on there, and look, I've got my layers building. And now this one I'm going to take off because it stayed wet. Hopefully it stayed wet, even though I left it there. This is the Mashi Hosho, so I'm going to lay it on. Oops. And this one might take a little longer to set because I kind of let it sit for a while too long, probably, but no harm done. We'll see what happens. We'll see. So I'm going to read this. So if you lightly stir your brayer in a circular motion, it will mix the colors on the jelly plate easier. Thank you. I will take your advice. I kind of think it's just fun to kind of, sometimes especially in these lives, I mean, I just kind of wing it. And I find that I've discovered some new things that way, when I'm doing things on my own and I'm not, have a time constraint, I kind of get bogged down and I don't experiment as much. I'm just going to let that sit. Let's just see if it's going to pick up color. Yep, it will. I'm going to let that sit right on there. Maybe keep that on like that. Now let's take a look at this one, the one on the left side, my warm colors. And this is ooh, pretty. Now I picked up most of the paint on there, and it's very red and very hot pink. So I need to cool this down. Not cool it down, but I just need to kind of make it more subtle, if there's such a thing. I'm going to grab some other colors. There's Queen Magenta. I know I have some mauve in here. This mauve color is a nice dark color. I'm going to mix that with a little Payne's Gray on my palette. I'm going to use let's see, I'm going to grab a sheet here in case I find myself inspired. I'm going to grab a sheet that I've started. This is actually 6JM. It's very thin, but it's to 12 by 18, and I cut the sheets in half. And I just did a very light pink base sheet. I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to grab, I love these, by the way. I'm going to grab this Georgia O'Keeffe inspired flower. And I'm going to put the mauve on it. Okay, is the ghost print. Okay, here we go. Mauve and Payne's Gray. Let's go for it. Here's the Payne's Gray. And I'll try that circular motion technique. And oops, wait a minute. What did I just do? Payne's Gray, and I just stuck Jenkins Green by accident, didn't I? Yep. So that changes everything. Gee. Oh no. Well, darn. Here, I'm just doing what you, ooh, good idea. It's still a pretty color. It's not what I was looking for, but yeah. That's pretty funny. This girl needs cataract surgery really soon. Ooh, that's actually a really pretty color, so I'm actually not disappointed in that at all. And I'm going to lay this stencil down. And I'm just going to put it right. I love this size so much. Ooh, that's just pretty on its own. I'm going to use this one because it's kind of a throwaway sheet. And I'm going to lay that right on top of that. And this time I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm not going to leave it on for too long because this is just my first pull. I'll just leave it this way. I might pull this one in a second because I know you're probably wondering what that looks like. This is what's fun about doing this dueling plates thing because you really frees you up and you really, you tend to experiment more. There we go. That's nice. It pulled up all the pieces. Ooh, and look at that print. I love that. Just like that. I love it. I'm going to keep it just like that. I just think that's pretty. And then this one is the one, the under part, and I love that. And I'm going to go with this little base sheet. I'm going to lay it right and try to line it up the best I can. This is the one I did the light pink. This is 6JM. Now 6JM is much thinner, so you have to be more careful when you lift it. Let's take a look at this. And we are doing good. We're at 340, we're at 245. So let's take a look. Oh, okay, so it's lifting the paint nicely. You see how much thicker this card stuff is. Wait till you see it. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Oh, look at that. Now that's gorgeous. So this is now you notice the paper's curled. That's because I just made that happen. So what you could do is after this dries, you can slightly dampen it and you can just dampen it very slightly and you will flatten out. But I have this idea because remember I told you I wanted to try double-sided printing. So I'm going to do something right now. Let's see, I'm going to see what would look pretty. Okay, I think this would look really pretty. Some teal. And I got to do it fast. Got to find a stencil quickly that I'm going to use. What am I going to use? I'm going to try just a little. I don't know which one. Oh, there's so many stencils. And they're all over I've got them all over the place here. I'm going to try this one. I think this is cool. So this already has some ink on or some paint on it. I don't care if it mixes up with it because I think it's going to be pretty. But because I've got one brayer that has the warm colors and one that has cool, it seems to be a better deal. They seem to look better. Okay, let's just put this on. And then I'm going to grab my little sheet here. Not going to do that yet. Yeah, let's play with this one. Remember, that's the throwaway sheet. It's going to have so many layers on it. It's going to look so pretty. Hope everybody's doing okay. If you have any, I'm sure it's been very quiet. Oh, somebody said Valerie. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being, that's so sweet. Thank you for your kindness. This is so much fun. I just happen to have so much fun doing this. Okay, so there is another layer, and see how it's softening that. Didn't pull all the paint off, but it did soften this a little bit, made it look really nice. Now, this is what I wanted to do. I'm going to try just a little bit. I'm going to see what happens when I put this on this side. Now, this is first time I've done this, sided printing. So it's a first. I'm just going to lay it on there and let it sit because I think this paint is not going to lift up as easy. Just going to really rub it in there. Getting my workout in, guys. But this one, I think I'm happy with this as it is now. This is a fun, kind of a very fun piece of collage paper. And I want to share with you something. You see there's some white underneath there. That's the paint or the paper that has not been, doesn't have any acrylic paint on it. And I'm going to show you what I do with those if you want to really change it up a little bit. So let's check out this one. Let's see how we're doing on this one. I hope I'm not overwhelming you with so much stuff. All right. Oh, there we go. Let's lift this up. Now this is a thinner paper, so I'm going to be more gentle when I pull this print because I don't want to tear the paper. Even though it is very strong paper, it just needs to be a gentle pull, slow and easy. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay, wow. That I love. I don't need to change it up a bit. I think it looks fantastic. So see, having that base color really does something, doesn't it? I love that. So that's a really thin paper, and I can use that for layering. And it's great for collage. I love that. Okay, so let's see where we are here on this one. We've got 10 more minutes, and so if anybody wants to see anything in particular, let me know. Now this didn't lift much at all, so I'm going to show you. See how it's all dry? Don't worry, it's all good. Let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab, what am I going to grab? I'm going to grab some, what would be pretty? So that's a really gorgeous color. So I'm going to keep this color and I'm going to grab some titanium white. If I can find it in my stash here, I can use any kind of paint. Titanium white is a really good. I'm going to use some cheap, inexpensive. I don't want to say cheap, inexpensive. This is some paint I found off the Montmartre titanium white. Let's just put some of that on. And I'm going to put a little good lay. And if this is pretty, yeah, this is dry. I'm going to transfer it all. So I'm going to put some of this Montmartre titanium white, not a whole lot. And I'm going to do this with a new brayer because I don't want to paint it with the color. And I'm just going to brayer it on smoothly. And I think this is a 3-inch brayer, but I think I just ordered a 6-inch because I think it'd be nice to have a thicker or wider brayer for smoother coverage. I have probably too much paint on here. In fact, I know I do. So I'm just going to kind of roll some of that off. And this time I'm going to leave this on. Go ahead. I'm going to lay that onto here. It's a little slippery. It's going to be a while. That's going to have to marinate for a while. So I'm going to put it on like this and this and let it sit while I do something else. You can even go have a cup of coffee or have lunch when you have this much paint. Definitely, it's going to take a minute to do that, fix it up. So you've got some of that paint just, yep, okay, it's lifting a little, so I'm just going to let it sit. Now, is there anything I haven't shown you? Oh, here we go. This one kind of needs some help, doesn't it? That one didn't get much attention. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to take a stencil that I've already used, just because, why not? This one's dry, it should be dry enough. And well, I don't have to take a stencil. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to show you something that I forget to do. I mean, even though, years ago I did faux finishing, and I always forget that that is a wonderful way to make marks on your paper. So I'm going to take some, I'm going to go, I never use orange. I'm going to use orange. I rarely use it. I think I should give orange some love. And actually, it's better to do heavy bodied paint if you can. Ooh, this cap left off. Get the cap off that one. Let's see, heavy body paint I should be using. So, oh well. Let's see. I'm going to grab some interference red. I'm going to put that in there. It's a little thicker. And it's actually almost empty. I'm just going to squeeze some of that out like that. See how much thicker that is? It needs to be thicker. So I'm going to grab my brayer that has all the warm colors on it, and I'm just gonna roll it on and kind of, yeah, I like that. Good mixing technique. Thank you. And I'm just, ooh, that was orange. No wonder I never use it. It's crazy. But orange is a good color. Well, yeah, some people don't think it is, but it's a happy color. It can be. And I'm just gonna put some little marks, making a mark over it like this. And you can do this with it doesn't have to be with these tools, but they make it easier. Combs, you can actually do little curves, you can make circles. Let's do a little curve on this one. I'm going to do a curve. Wiggly curves. There we go. It's just mono printing, right? We're doing making marks, and then I am going to really mess this one up. That's all right. I'm going to do it. just want to see what it looks like. This is where I'm throwing all caution to the wind now. And I'm just doing what I feel like. So, because I've got like 5 minutes left, and I wanted to show you how I clean my plates, just to give you a finished thing. And I wanted to see what this looks like. So I'm going to let this stay on here. And I'll leave that like that. Okay, and now let's just see what this looks like. Okay. I can't wait for this one. This is the double-sided Mashi Hosho, which it is a double layered. Oh yeah, so it's lifted on all the paint. Oh, look at that. This is my first time doing this, and I am so thrilled. Look at that. Oh, so now we have a double-sided Mashi Hosho print, and what's going to be nice about that is when it's all, ooh, don't want to really stuck to the plate. I think it will make beautiful. If I trim it down, I might have to trim it down, but wow, it's just a gorgeous double-sided paper that I could use for many things. Actually, I'm thinking greeting cards, maybe a little too busy for that, but journal pages, thick, maybe a cover. But there it is. I love that. I'm just gonna put that over there, let that sit. And let's take a look at this. See where we're at here. And usually what I do, that looks good. I'm going to take this roller, and as I sort of wind down a session, I'm just going to kind of try to get off as much extra paint as I can from my brayers so that they're not just totally soaked. And then same with this one, I'll grab this one. These are just like off. I think that's already dry. Okay, there we go. Now let's take a look. This is the Torinoko print, and I may have killed what was underneath it. I know I did. Ooh, there's this little extra. Okay, so that one's a little, I'd say, I'm not going to give it up. But this here is what's really fascinating to me, that right there. What I would do is I'm going to let that dry completely. I'm going to put a color over it, and we'll rescue this if I have a minute. Yep, I do. But let me show you while I'm waiting for this to dry here. I'm going to show you how I simply clean up my stuff. If you have big crusty areas on your plate, take some Scotch packing tape and just put it on like this and just stick it on there. And then leave it for a minute. I'm going to do it on all the edges. Usually it's the edges that get kind of crusty. I don't know why. Well, I know why. They just dry. It dries too fast, and you just lay it on there. And this is a good chemical-free cleaning system. And then what you do is then you peel off that tape. So then what it will do is that you see how it lifted that paint? Just, you can use it again. Like if you see another crusty part, you just pick it up until you get all the little crusty parts off. And that's a way to do it without having to go in the sink and make a huge mess. So let me show you here. Okay, clean, and almost clean there. But that's how you do that. I just wanted to share that with you because a lot of times, you can use hand sanitizer or anything like that. But I like this way because it's pretty clean and ready to be stored now. And that's, you don't have to do anything. Now this is dry. So this is now ready for me to do something. Now, since I kind of killed the background on this one, I'm going to do, and I have nothing to lose on this one. I like this one. I'm going to keep that print. So there's only one print that I kind of just don't really like. So I'm going to put a dark color. I think the Payne's gray mixed with mauve this time, not the green. There, Payne's gray and mauve. All right, just going to do it. I'm going to put the mauve here and the Payne's gray here. And I'm going to roll it right on top of that orange. Okay. Ooh, that's a gorgeous, beautiful color. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to put this because it just needs to have some barrier. Like I'm going to use that stencil. And I'm going to lay this right on top. It just needs to be, it needs to have something breaking up that orange, doesn't it? Too much orange. Orange with blues. Yes, I love that idea. Orange with blue. Well, that's what that kind of teal color with the orange is really sort of southwest. All right, now that's different. It's pretty, but it's not quite what I'm thinking, but that's okay. I'm gonna pull this and I'm gonna grab another base sheet that I made. I don't know where it was. This is a kind of a blue gray color. That's 6H. I'm gonna put it on and let it sit. That's gonna stay. I mean, maybe, well, whoops, I just dropped my paint. Good thing it was closed. All right. And then this one, what I would plan to do, I think it's not bad. I mean, I just maybe the color combinations, maybe if I added blue, like some teal would be really nice. Or just a blue in general would be pretty. But maybe I'll just let that rest and decide later. You can always take your prints that you don't love, put them to the side and use them and print on them another day. And here's this piece here, dry. It needs to be cleaned. And does anybody have any questions on what I've done today? Or anything? Maybe it's quiet.
Yeah, no questions yet. Again, there's like a slight delay, so since you asked that, we might start getting a few questions
Okay.
in.
All
But
right.
yeah, somebody who was at Evelyn said not overwhelmed, just mesmerized. I think
Ah,
everyone
cute. Look
tuned
at
in
that.
and watching. Oh, that's so cute.
So you've got like you can even make your washi tape. You can make your own tape that has paint on it if you want. Doing by just putting it on your gel plate. But just so much easier to clean this way than other methods, which I've only been doing this for how many years, and I've only figured this part of the tape thing out recently. I've seen people do it, but I never would think to bring out the tape. And I always went to hand sanitizer or baby wipes, and it just got to be a mess. So let's see what this one looks like, and then, ooh, so unexpected, and I love, love, love. Okay, so sometimes it's the prints that you would call throwaways. You think you're going to throw them away are the most incredible. This combination with that orange kind of scraping through with the metallic showing. Wow, I'm excited. I hope you are too, because that is so pretty. And you remember what I did, or do you? I don't remember. But the base color was a very pale, like a almost like a minty green. And then I had that mixture of Payne's, well, the orange mess that just sort of got weird. But I love how this turned out. I really, wow. So this was this first sheet, which was the intention of, oh, I want to make a nice print, but I like the throwaway one way better. That is like magical. And I can see myself journaling where these little lines were, where I did with the comb. I could do some hand lettering in here, and that's what I love about these combs, because you can make places to do hand lettering and doodling. So there you go. I
And
think I've got it.
we got,
Anybody?
yeah, Janet reminded us that you were going to show us what to do with white bits on paper. And we also got another question. Do you have a favorite paper to gel print on? You showed us so many
Oh
options.
yeah, I do. Okay, so what
I'm
was
sorry, one last question. And how do you store your plates?
okay? So okay, what am I gonna do with the white bits on paper? I'm totally lost. The white-
I think that you had done a print earlier. I don't remember the other colors, but there was some like white space that didn't pick up any
Oh, thank
paint
you so
on it.
much. I appreciate the reminder. Yes, thank you. All right, let me show you this. And how I store my plates. Okay, before I'm gonna address the white, how I deal with the white stuff. Okay, I store my plates the way I took them out. I had the white piece of paper. I'm gonna have to just set these aside for now. But after I clean them and they're totally dry, I store them back in the original container they came in. After and put not that clear plastic that it comes with. I use just a piece of scrapbook paper that's white, or any kind of paper that's going to cover the plate completely, and then I store it like that. So I think you saw, oh, here it is. This is how I store it like this. So I've got two pieces of barrier paper. I'm gonna wait till mine are perfectly clean. I mean, I'd say the one that is clean, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Move it out of the way, get it out of the way. So here, this one's pretty clean, and if it's not perfectly clean, you can get it pick up paint from for the next session. So what I do. Okay, Karen. Get with it, Karen. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay it on, like, just kind of lay it on there, and then I'm gonna put the other piece right on top. And I want the white side, not the printed side, because it might drag, it might pick up some print, I don't know. That's how you store them, like that, just like you got it. Now, let me show you the magic about, this is where I use watercolor, okay? I'm gonna find a print, and I know they're in my stash because I told you I had them. So here, the white bits, here, this one has some white bits. And if I want to, oh, here, I'll show you some examples. I started earlier, these, and I will tell you what my favorite paper is to print on right now, the 6H, but by far, because it's so inexpensive and I like the weight of it. It's not too heavy, not too light. You know, the 6JM is okay, but 6H is my go-to. This is 6JM, and I do like it because it's thinner. And I did watercolor on the back to bring out that color. So let me show you. I'm gonna grab, leave these out of the way. These are the ones that I did today. And beautiful fun stuff. You can see how much fun we had. And these are the ones I did earlier. I had a stack of the ones that I had started painting on the back because they didn't have, oh, here we go. There we are. So this one, here we are. This one had just white, like white, stark white. And what I did is I just watercolored the back. And then because the rice paper is absorbent on the back side, it just soaked up the color. So this one I've got some ideas because I see it. Okay, I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to turn this on its back side, and I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm going to do with this. Just with watercolor, and I don't need anything else, nothing fancy. I'm going to grab, oh, I didn't even bring my watercolors out. Sorry, I didn't bring my Nijis out. I'm just going to have to bring some with a little bigger. Just this one, it's not my Niji set. Apologize, but anyway, any watercolor will work. And any transparent or Gonzai, if you have the Nijis, really the best. Okay, got my fusion brush, and I'm going to decide what color do I want to put on this. I'm going to, well, I'll finish this one to show you. And this is where I take a piece of paper and put it underneath because it gets kind of messy. And, well, not messy, just the color leaks through to the other side. I'm going to grab, can't find, I don't have any, where'd it go? I'm just going to use that. I'm going to use my little white board here. And what I'm doing is simply picking paint, and I'm just going to pick up some yellow, put it through, just, you can see, it soaks right in, and I can just use whatever fun colors I want. And that will go through the actual grooves here, and you can see how it picks up the color, but it doesn't go into the paint, into the acrylic paint. So it's a really fun way to make double-sided paper if you wanted to play and do that. This one, I don't know what I've got here. I'm just gonna mostly transparent colors here, but that's how I do that. So in this one, and I'll finish that later, but you can see how it just kind of changes that print pretty drastically. And this one is very light, but I see there's some, you'll see what I mean. I'll just show you. I'm gonna use what am I gonna use here? Something that's gonna kind of be, maybe, what the heck? Let me try. Let's see what happens if I use some green. Yeah, there we go. That's going to be pretty. Green, maybe some aqua. Just going to kind of put some color. Now, this is a pointed brush, so I'm going to bring out my handy Fusion flat brush. It's going to cover a lot more space. Much better than if I would just, there we go. See, now I can do a wash like that. And I'm just taking some green and blue and kind of just brushing it over. And this is where you got to be careful with the washi paper because it does have a kind of a rough side. And if you rub too hard, you're going to damage the fibers and they'll start to lift. You don't want that. So,
While you're doing that, can I also ask two more questions?
mhm.
Cheryl was asking, she wanted to know why you don't store the plates with the plastic sheet it comes with.
If,
And Waco Calligraphy Guild Texas asked if the plate gets scratches and indentations. Do you have any suggestions?
okay. Well, the reason I store the plates without, I'll start with the first question. Look how pretty that is. I just see how it brought out the white that was underneath. Um, so the reason, yeah, see that? It just picked up the white that was under a pattern that was underneath. I wanted to show you that. Okay, the reason I don't store the plates with the plastic will, if you know, if you don't, it's like in the manufacturing process, after they manufactured it, the plastic makes a very glossy, it just goes on without bubbles. But if you try to put the plate back on the plastic, you'll see bubbles, and those bubbles will become permanent after they've sat there for a while. So that's why I use the paper, because the paper kind of gives what it does, storing it with paper gives it this nice satin non-glossy finish. And this is, it's just much better. See, here's the shiny part here. But if you try it, and then it keeps it smoother. So that's why I do that. Um, the other one, what was the other question?
Yeah, no, of course. The other question was if your plate, it's related. If your plate gets scratches and indentations, what do you suggest?
Well, I don't know if it's once it gets a scratch, I think it's there. Now, I've made my own gel plates before, and I would rather have the Gelli Arts people tell me I don't think this is probably going to work, because the way I fixed plates that I had handmade is I put them back in the microwave and they melted and went back, liquefied, and then I let them dry and they were smooth again. Do not do that with these. Don't do these with the manufactured. I don't think there's much you can do. What you should do is embrace the wonkiness of the scratches, because that's going to give, you can have a plate that's kind of scratched and wonky, and it's going to make for really interesting prints instead of being so perfect and pristine. I get that's probably the only advice I can give you, is kind of embrace the scratches, because once they're on there, you really can't take them off them, I'm aware of. I've not heard of any solution except just to accept them and be, okay with it, because it is what it is. They're delicate, kind of. I mean, I kind of treat mine a little rough, but they are delicate. So if you do like poke a hole in it or something, or scratch it, like I sometimes, this brayer has this metal part here. I'm very careful not to roll it with that on the plate, because I will scratch the plate. So, just be mindful, no sharp objects, no pin, needles or, things like that. And your plate should last you a long time. But if it starts to get funky and scratched, then you just kind of have to go with that. Like, okay, this is the way it's going to be. And it's okay. It will still be, you won't really notice it that much. And you can always add, let's say you have one scratch that you really is sort of noticeable. You can intentionally put other scratches in your plate that will kind of make it look like you intended it, if that makes sense. So is that okay? I hope that helped you. But see what happened? I got this is looking really pretty with just putting watercolor on the back. Now I'm seeing the white that was I'm seeing that white acrylic that I put on there earlier, and with a stencil basically. And I'm just going to kind of not try, I'm trying to keep it in the same color family, but this is the 6JM, so it's really thin and it soaks up that paint really beautifully. Any more questions? Any more
Not,
ideas? Ooh, this
not
is
that I
pretty.
see. I think we're doing good. But yes, Waco Calligraphy Guild Texas that was asking about the dented plates. They love your answer. So, okay.
Yeah, embrace the wonkiness. Embrace
Yeah.
the scratches. Just like in getting older, I'm learning to embrace the wrinkles. But I
Yeah.
really love the way that turned out. And you can see when it dries, nice and, nice and heavy. And now I'm going to use that in some origami probably. And I told you, I like to cut my papers down and start to fold and do other things with them. But there we have it. It's 3013. I can't believe it. See how I just kept yammering away.
That was an awesome one. Well, thank you, Karen. I think we'll probably put up a poster, a picture, or maybe like a short video later of the pretties that Karen made today. She always does a quick little shot, so we'll share that online. You can take a look. So thank you everybody for joining. If you're still here, I know some people had to run, which is totally fine. If you make any of your own jelly prints, if you're inspired by what you saw today, please tag us on Instagram. Please tag Yasutomo and Gelli Arts, and Karen as well, if you can. We'd all love to see your work. I will update the description with all of our Instagram handles so that you can just, copy paste or refer to it there. And we'll be back. In 2 weeks for our next live stream. It's actually going to be Karen by herself because I'll be out of town, but you're in good hands. You will have Karen, the creative master, here with you to show you what you need. And then we do have another question from Evelyn. She asked, was that a transparent white on the front? Would the watercolor show through if the white had been heavy or opaque?
No,
Um,
actually, it would show through if it's the Japanese papers, the washi, it will show because it's absorbent on the backside. So any of these, except for the Mashi Hosho, you won't be able to do it that, it won't go through. But you could just use, it could be 6JM, 6H, Gassen, Torinoko, Asagami, all those papers will actually show, the color will show through because it absorbs, and only in the areas where you don't use the acrylic. So the acrylic kind of serves as a resist kind of for that. So it's a really fun technique, and it's clean. So you can have all your prints sort of, laying around, and then you just take some watercolor and it's not messy. It's kind of relaxing and it's fun. So
I think we're set. Thank you all so much. And you can always find us online. You could, drop in questions on YouTube videos, even after the fact when we're not live. We will do our best to get back to you or, find us online, email us at info@yasutomo.com. But that's it for now. Thank you so much, Karen. Looking
thank
cute
you.
with the origami heart necklace. Yeah,
Yeah,
love it.
yes, it is my little heart necklace. Yes, so that's what I did out of the jelly print. So
Your creative heart.
yeah.
Perfect for you.
All right. Well,
All
have a
right.
great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. And I'll be by myself, so you never know what I'm gonna do. When the cat's away, the mouse will play.
Awesome.